Hello, 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 my wonderful, beautiful, lovely peeps. I am Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. Welcome, welcome to my podcast. Whether you're listening or watching, I really, truly appreciate you. Yeah, we talk about true crime here, darkness, negative things, sadly, but I try to do a positive thing on things, like a positive feeling on things. Like we're talking about some dark matters, but I'm also putting in positive, beautiful energy. I feel like that's very, very important. All right, and behind me, guys, is some lit up white candles. We have beautiful crystals going on. I'm just trying to reach the person who has passed on to make sure I can talk about her. If I feel like it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. Of course, what I talk about there is talking about of true crime, adult situations, graphic violence, and with this crime that I'm going to be talking about, it actually is part of the Playboy murders. This crime came up in the Playboy murders documentary on Discovery Plus channel. I do not have that, so I watched it on HBO Max. I find out, awesome tidbit, I found out that a lot of Discovery Channel shows, like The Ghost That Ruined My Life by Eli Roth, is also on HBO Max, so that's pretty cool. What's not cool is this story, and it is twisted. And it is a story about a beautiful girl in her 30s that was just taken way too soon. And it was like, the episode is called Moth to a Flame, okay? So she's very beautiful, long dark hair, like light crystal eyes, and she was just taken advantage of in the worst kind of way. I think that she was, everything I've read about her so far, that she was a really sweet, nice person. And I think that she just missed her home and her kind of lifestyle. And she went into a situation where anybody would think it's normal, but nobody had her back because she was in a new area. So yes, this is very sad. This is about Christina Carlin Kraft, and she was a cyber girl in Playboy. Christina Rose Carlin Kraft was born November 11th, 1981, which makes her a Scorpio. I know a lot of people with 11/11 birthdays, and they are very close friends of mine. They tend to be very dynamic, charismatic, passionate, hardworking, little dark side kind of people, And I just realized that was her birthday, and that's it's really sad, because like I said, I have a few people I really care about with those birthdays. So on with the story. So Christina was a cyber Playboy model. Now, I was very confused about that, you guys, because I didn't understand really what that was. It still was an honor. Her dream was to become a playmate in the Playboy, because remember, like I said in the early episodes, that when you pose for Playboy, like as a playmate, it like opened doors for you as a model, as an actress, and so on. But sadly, as I'm going to talk about, her posing for Playboy and being a cyber girl didn't really do her any favors, sadly. I know, it's crazy. You would think these amazing opportunities would open up more doors, but that's not what happened in the case. So sadly, her body was found August 22nd, 2018. Her body was, she suffered, you guys. She did. She was found in Ardmore. Ardmore is outside of Philadelphia. It's like a ritzy, upper class place in Philly, suburban area, where like no crime is. And I know places say that, but this place has like no crime at all. In fact, when the detective was called for a welfare check, he didn't actually want to go because he's like, they're going to be fine. Nothing bad happens here, you know? But he went and checked on her because a few days beforehand, there was some illegal activity happening. Yeah, I know. It's wild. So Alex was her boyfriend at the time, and they were, you know, they seemed to have a very great relationship. They were not married, but they were together for 15 years, and he adored her. Like when he heard about her demise, he just lost it, just full on grief. But they lived in New York City together, and he thought it would be a great idea to take her out of the city, make her feel safe, you know, because she got unwanted attention, because this girl was like gorgeous, beautiful. And he was afraid he couldn't always watch her, you know, so he always thought what would be better than New York City was Ardmore, Philadelphia. But sadly, that was not a good idea, and I'm sure he feels guilty to this day about it. I think he had really nice intentions for them. I really think for their relationship, maybe he wanted to settle down. That's why he was getting into the suburban life at Ardmore. But Alex would actually work in New York and drive almost every weekend to spend time with his girlfriend slash fiance, Christina. Now, in some parts of articles they say boyfriend, and some say they say fiance. So I'm not sure if they were engaged or they were going to be engaged. So Christina, though, she grew up in South Jersey, and like I said, for 15 years she was with her boyfriend, you know, fiance, we'll just call him because there was a lot of love there, was Alex. And like I said, 15 years, a long time. They met in 2003. According to her friend, Eva Walls, on the show, The Playboy Murders, she was a friend and she was a fellow model search winner. So when Eva met Christina, they were in search modeling because their dreams was to go into modeling together. Now, as I said, Christina not only was beautiful on the outside, she was beautiful on the inside. She worked as like a server, waitress, worked with the public, very bubbly, a very nice, charismatic personality. She modeled for Maxim, you know, those men magazines, and like magazines like Stuff. So of course she had like a banging body and confidence and beautiful. And like I said, long dark hair, light blue eyes. She even got to meet Hugh Hefner, which was one of her dreams, was to become a Playboy model. And this is tea time, but right now I'm having espresso time. Oh, my partner made this, and it is absolutely delightful. Thank you. All right. So when she met Hugh Hefner, she thought she made it. She's like, I'm going to be a Playboy. This is it. She was invited to parties, meeting people, and things seemed to be going her way. Now, according to the show of Playboy Murders, that is narrated partly by Holly Madison, who was one of the girls next door, was very famous early 2000s, which I still wonder why we loved them so much, because, you know, they were really screwing an old man. I mean, I'm not judging, but like I remember in being middle school and high school wearing Playboy, and I even have Playboy on my cover of my phone now, that it just kind of had this darkness to it. I mean, when you're younger, we think of Playboy as lavish vacations, beautiful clothes, beautiful cars, you know, like the high life. But when you think about it, it's like, it's kind of, these are really young women with a really old dude. Okay. Yeah, I mean, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. So, sadly, Christina did not become a Playmate. And I'm not roasting you at all, Christina. You're flippin' gorgeous. You could have been a Playmate. But Holly was saying that there were thousands of submissions of women and only one was picked a month. And it could have been that there were too many brunettes that year because, you know, she wasn't a blonde. And she may because she was kind of older. Now, this is not old, guys, but in the modeling world and maybe of Hugh Hefner, 26 years old was pretty up there in the age. So she didn't get to really become a Playmate, but she did have a model spread for Cyber Playboy, which is the cyber girl. You pay for a subscription back in the day to look at these beautiful women. And, you know, it's amazing Christina got picked. That's something to definitely be proud of. Unfortunately, when she left Playboy and she wanted to pursue other things, they didn't like that. They didn't like that she was associated with Playboy. And after posing nude for Playboy, other model agencies didn't represent her. So her modeling career just went downhill. And I think that's horrible because why does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all kinds of ways to model. Like, there's plus size modeling, there's, you know, gothic modeling. You could do a theme, you could do cosplay. But I'm thinking, like, back then for the big, high model, you know, like the ones, let me know down in the comments below, guys. It's the one where Gia Karanji was from. Very high class modeling agency. I'm guessing she wanted to be a part of something like that, and since she posed nude for Playboy, they were not signing her. Okay, there's a little bit of backstory, and now we're getting to the sad stuff, okay? Because this poor girl had like the worst week of her life. Alex, her boyfriend, when her body was found, he was the first suspect. The reason being, if any murder case or any homicide, they always look at the partner, they always look at the spouse. So even though in the beginning Alex completely cooperated with the police, they didn't want to consider him a suspect. But I'm saying, you know, first they look at him, even though they really didn't write him down as a suspect, because he was completely cooperating, he grieved, he showed all signs of like not killing his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So he first called Christina at 2:30 a.m. to say goodnight, and then after that, this is when he was in New York, I believe the day before of her murder, he called several times, and by 5 a.m. he didn't hear nothing. That's when he called the police, and he asked the police to please go and do a welfare check on my girlfriend and or fiance. And August 18th, so they did, and they saw a horrific sight, which I will go in a little bit detail, because this poor girl, she suffered, but she fought. I can tell she fought. So August 18th, this is like a few days before her murder, because her body was found the 22nd. Now August 18th, she reported a burglary. Now this is insane. So jewelry, credit cards, expensive handbags were missing. So on August 18th, Christina went to a bar in Center City, I believe it was called. It's some kind of hotspot downtown area. And, you know, she just got a drink and was at the bar. And, you know, she could have been lonely. She's in this new place and she misses her friends. And she just wanted conversation. You know, it's what you kind of do. You go to a bar, you buy a drink, you meet people, you talk, shabang, shaboom, you know. But sadly, someone had very nefarious intentions. Now, she thinks when she contacted the police on August 18th that someone drugged her. That someone drugged her drink. Like I said, when she was at the bar, she's a very social butterfly, perhaps flirtatious, very confident woman, and like I said, just likes to have fun. There's nothing like wrong with that. to go to a bar, get a drink, and meet people and have a good time. But not only she did this once, but she did this twice in a week, and it just escalated from bad to worse. So Christina met someone and used a ride share. And the ride share said like she was kind of out of it. She was kind of like passed out. As she was passed out in the vehicle, this is the first time, a guy goes into her apartment. Thank goodness for video camera, guys, by the way. This is all set on like cameras, security cameras on the really expensive condominium. So she was out of it. She doesn't really remember what's going on. I just want to know what the heck was put in her drink to make her like totally out of it. I guess the ride share didn't really think anything of it. Who knows? I don't know. But the guy that was with her, he actually was in her apartment with boxes for about 90 minutes, just burglarizing the crap out of her. He took jewelry, he took credit cards, he took expensive handbags. And, you know, when she reported that on August 18th, it was awful. It was just terrible. And they found out that Andre Melton was a burglar, and he was wanted for the robbery. Now, detectives were just like, okay, so what now? What happened? And when, sadly, Christina reported to the police and said about this burglary, hi, I don't feel safe here, you know, the detectives were, of course, surprised, you know, they wrote out a report, and they're like, okay, we're going to find your stuff, you know, there's cameras, we're going to open an investigation. And she goes, okay, that's fine. But then, August 22nd, she winds up horribly murdered. So the detectives cannot sleep. They cannot. Because you just had this beautiful girl come to them and be like, hi, I just got robbed. I don't feel safe in my home. Please help me. Like, she felt completely violated. And then a couple days later, she winds up dead. So very eerie, very unfortunate circumstances. Now, Andre Melton, he was playing a cat and mouse game, okay, with the police. The police put him like, because what they did was, because of the security cameras, you kind of saw who the people were and everything like that. So they showed, you know, like these grainy photos, and just by a hunch, they were like, if anybody knows these suspects, please call this certain number. Now, one detective could have thought, like, this is the same guy. This has to be the burglar. But rarely burglars come back to the scene and murder, you know, the person, you know, murder someone because of burglar. You know, it just didn't fit the profile. So that was smart when they said, anybody, you know these suspects, please let me know. And the police were right. Not only one person hurt her, a couple days later, a completely different person hurt her. Yeah, I know. So as soon as the murder and everything is on the news, it was big breaking news. I tried Googling this case. There's some articles. Even Europe was talking about her. They put Playboy model and all that. But I'm doing the story. Even though it says Playboy murder, it does get your attention. It gets you to click. But I'm telling you right now, she was a real person. She was a sweetheart with goals and dreams that was just taken away horribly. So I was very surprised that I only saw maybe like one podcast, maybe two, mentioning this horrible murder. Yeah, I know. I went on YouTube and it was just little snippets of like CBS and news stations, and then, you know, like what the verdict was when they finally caught the murder, you know? Yeah, spoiler alert, it's solved, this case. But this This sweet girl needs to be remembered, though. That's why I'm doing this story. So, with all the attention to Christina and everyone saying, have you seen these people? Andre Melton contacted the police himself. Yeah, I know. Yeah. He contacted the police and said, listen, I stole her stuff, but I'm not going down for murder. Okay. So already Andre was like, yeah, I stole her stuff. And it was insane because the police were like, we're looking for you. And he came to us, finally. But, I mean, Andre's kind of right. I mean, he's kind of like garbage for still, drugging her and, taking her to her condo and stealing her stuff. But he's telling the police, yo, I didn't murder. I did not go down for murder. So police are like, okay, maybe we're dealing with another suspect. So they go back to the evidence and they go back to the cameras. So August 23rd, the driver who actually picked up the suspect and Christina called in to say that they had that, okay, this guy was anonymous, by the way, but he said he was the driver who did a ride share with these two people. He mentioned the girl was flirtatious and they were affectionate with each other, which I'm sure is hard to hear. But, you don't know what you see. You know what I'm saying? It's late at night. She could be a little drunk and just having a good time, thinking everything is okay. But it's not okay. And what happens is something happened at that bar because this rideshare guy said that she didn't get a normal way of Uber or Lyft or what have you, which is you go on the phone and you do it through your phone. She actually waved the driver down and said, please take me back. These people are harassing me. Now, the suspect with her that was in the security cam was driving with her. And as soon as they came up, to her condo, she was saying, even though she said she had cash on her, she didn't actually have cash on her. And the suspect was kind of mad and he was like, yo, here, I'll give you $100 if you stay here for 15 minutes. Okay? Now, the rideshare driver agrees. So he sees the suspect with Christina, sees him walking her into the condominium, and it's so ritzy, you guys, that when you open it, it literally does a timestamp, which is impressive. The door did that, and also her balcony's door did that as well. So 15 minutes go by, and then 20 minutes go by, and then the rideshare driver just booked it. He just left. So now with the picture everywhere of the suspect trying to figure out, the police are like, this guy he could have been the last one to see Christina alive. So again, the photos are plastered on, I believe the internet, but it was all over TV. It was a huge, high-profile case back then. Pardon me, darlings. So, with the photo evidence, someone recognizes him as Jonathan Harris. Jonathan Harris was actually roomed with someone in a psychiatric ward. So the person that he roomed with in the psychiatric ward, okay, he confessed to him. I know. So that is why the roommate called police and turned Jonathan Harris in and tried to tell him. But the thing that sucks, guys, is that Jonathan Harris, he actually signed himself in and out of the psychiatric ward, so the police could not get him to an interview. And he made his name John Doe. So of course, he's in the wind. But what was very scary and why this roommate called police was because Jonathan Harris confessed to him about choking a woman. Like, there's nothing, it was so macabre, guys. Something like, there is no better feeling than choking a woman and seeing the life come out of her, or something like that. Something really sad. Now, Jonathan Harris, he was a little cuckoo bananas. I mean, he was in a psychiatric ward, and then it gets worse. He actually was just released from prison 5 weeks beforehand. What? Yeah, that dude just got out of freaking prison. I know it's sad. Like, you don't know people who you talk to. You know, like, people have facades and masks, and they can mask themselves into someone who is chatty, adorable, fun, charismatic, but you don't know who these people are. There was a tip that actually, I believe it was actually Jonathan Harris's, one of his family members, that called the police to turn him in. He was actually on the run, and he was on a bus to go to Pittsburgh, and he was caught. The police, he actually tried to give them a false name, but the police completely recognized body, height, everything else from the video camera, from the security photos and stuff like that, and the street photos as well, because there's cameras all around that nice area. So he was basically, we got Jonathan, he's caught, okay? Now, he was saying that he actually saw Christina around Philly. I mean, I'm guessing she was walking around. I mean, that's kind of creepy, because, like, are you a stalker, dude? And, but yeah, that's what he said. He saw her around Philly, and then he saw her go in the hotel, and then he sat with her, and they talked, and they had a good time. And he admitted he was very high. He was on weed, cocaine, alcohol, and police said K2, which is like synthetic marijuana. But when I think of like K2, you guys, I think of ketamine, which is like a horse tranquilizer. It's an extremely strong drug. But let me know what you think down in the comments below what KT is. But the point is, he was pretty messed up. Absolutely. Definitely under chemical substances. So he denied it at first, the killing of Christina. He said, yeah, we hung out, and I took her home, and then that was it. And then she was fine when I left her. And that's a lie, because the police were like, okay, well, we see you go in the building, but why didn't you leave through the door again? Like, you went in, why didn't you leave the same way? Why did you? Because the balcony door did a ding, and it had a timestamp. And so the police were like, Jonathan, why did you go out the balcony? Well, of course, we true crime people know, because he was probably covered in blood, and he was trying to escape this horrific murder that he caused. So he, talks about, them having like a little altercation in the car about the money, about her not having, her not paying or something like that. And then he even said, oh, well, I went with her because she wanted cocaine, and I gave her cocaine, and she didn't have the money, so I got mad. And then she hit me in the head with a wine bottle in the apartment, and I just lost it. Now, not only that he like lied, but he also slandered her name, because according to friends and family and even the autopsy, there were no drugs in her system. Like, there was no cocaine. About the other stuff, that's kind of sealed. So I'm guessing definitely put something in her drink, or I mean, we don't really know. That's very weird that, I don't know that, but it seems like something was put in her drink again, because she's not acting like herself at all. It's really weird how he's like holding her up as he's walking her toward her condo. Like, he's holding her by the waist, and she's all smiley and she seems kind of out of it. But it could look like flirtation to people, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense. But again, so with the rideshare guy, you know, it's wild because I'm like, dude, didn't you know like something was messed up? But the rideshare was like, they seemed to like each other. I don't know, you know, but he did call in the tip and said that, hey, these people were in my cab. And it's not noted because, you know, the guy gave me $100 cash, you know? So she did not have any cocaine in her system. And her family and Alex was devastated. Like, not only you were a coward and you kill my fiance, your girlfriend, you know, my significant other, you also slander her name and say she was on cocaine. But there was no cocaine in her system, and then he says on the record that as long as he has known Christina, which is 15 plus years, she has never done cocaine. So, F you, Jonathan Harris, for trying to slander her name like that. Okay. So, then, now, he knew, because with the autopsy evidence, the circumstantial, the physical evidence, the security footage, you know, Jonathan knew he was cooked. He knew his goose was so cooked. So the police were like, okay, are you going to tell us the truth now? And finally, Jonathan told the truth. He admits he lied, and he admits that he killed her because he panicked. Now, when she was found, you guys, we don't 100% know what happened in that room. My guess is he wanted some, and she didn't want to, and she fought hard, and he hit her. She had 2 broken eye sockets, a broken nose, and you would think she was beaten to death, but she actually was strangled. Yep. Yeah. And Jonathan was such a coward that when he said he left and said, oh, I thought she was okay, she was still breathing, the police were like, there was no way when he left she was still breathing. So yeah, he did a number on her. And he wouldn't even look at her face afterwards, so he covered her up with like a comforter, or he just covered her up. Just a friggin' coward. So after killing her, you know, he put on her clothes because his clothes were bloody, and he jumped off the second balcony, which, don't worry guys, it wasn't even that tall. You know, you could definitely jump off the balcony, maybe onto a tree and be like George of the Jungle and then just go on your way, you know. But what also sealed his fate is when he jumped off that balcony, a shoe print was in the dirt. So more physical evidence. There was just a lot of physical evidence, and, you know, he tried to say that, you know, he panicked, it was an accident, and he pleaded for the police to be like, give me, like, you know, 3rd-degree murder, which is basically like, oops, I killed him. But no, they did not. They charged him with 1st-degree murder and life imprisonment. Such a very, very sad story. Christina did not deserve any of that to her. And as being an adorable and like attractive and fun-loving person, she just really wanted to live her life and have a drink. Like, what the... And there were these 2 men in 1 week with nefarious intentions. It's really sad. I send love and positive energy to Christina's family and to the loved ones that have been affected by this case. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Please just stay safe out there. You know you are loved and you know you are cherished. And yeah, if you have any story suggestions, I have the link down below. it's really sad. Definitely check out the Playboy murders on HBO Max. Very sad. And again, thank you so much for sticking out. I mean, this is my dream to help people, and by you listening or sharing, you are supporting my dream, and I appreciate that so much. And I'm gonna have another sip of my awesome espresso coffee. Oh yeah, he loves me. And yeah, until next time, I care for you, and I will see you later. And remember, you are doing better than you think. Bye. See you later.